I'd like to call this April 21st, 2016 board meeting to order. Mr. Anagnostou, can you please take the roll call?
Sure. Colonel Evans?
Here.
Mr. Grozan?
Here.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Here.
Mr. Micko?
Here.
Mr. Naso? Not
Ms.
present.
Mr. Naso is absent due to a prior work commitment. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We like to start every meeting by reminding ourselves of our district goals. We have two goals, student achievement and growth, along with financial prudence. And like every agenda, we will have examples where we get to deal with both. The student achievement and growth, we have quite a bit of recognition, and I think it's obvious how blessed we are here in Strongsville to have students and families of the caliber that we have. So I'm not going to go on any further, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ryba.
Thank you, Mr. Micko. You're right. We do have a series of recognitions tonight that we as a district and community should be proud of. And we are going to start with the Strongsville High School Ohio DECA State Conference competition. And I'm going to bring Mr. Mark Smithberger, Strongsville High School principal, to present these recognitions. Mark?
Members of the school board, Mr. Rob, Mrs. Pelko, thank you for having us this evening. We're excited to be here. We brought quite a crew. That is a sign of how well things have gone here in the last couple months at the high school as we've competed in a variety of competitions. Before I start talking about the DECA students, I want to make sure I say congratulations to Jeremy Resbeck, our state wrestler, and our state swimmers. I'm not going to mention you guys by name because there's a whole lot of you out there, but congratulations to the state swimmers, to Jeremy, and to our coaches. Let's give them a round of applause. And my comments this evening regarding the DECA students apply to the swimmers and wrestlers as well. And I'm not going to talk about them a lot because Ms. Frenchick's here to actually pass out the awards and talk about their individual accomplishments, but I want to give a couple overarching statements of 3 years ago, Ms. Frenchick and I were here, and Ms. Frenchick told me she was going to retire because they had reached the height of success DECA could reach. I encouraged her not to do that. I said, we have a lot more to do. She has chosen not to retire at the ripe old age of like 35. 34, correction, 34. Don't want to get ladies' ages wrong. Not 35, yes. Now I'm in trouble. She does an outstanding job every year, and she was saying, I can't outdo what I've done a few years ago. Well, I think she's outdone herself. Her work with the students, and the students have done amazing things. And as educators, our goal is to incite passion in our students and get them to work hard for the sake of wanting to work hard and wanting to learn. And Ms. Frenchick does an outstanding job of that. And to give you some perspective of the success that our DECA program has had this year, we had over 50 students qualify for the state competition. That is an unbelievable number. From there, we have qualified, you can see on the board agenda, 15 different students in the top 10 of the state. We have 11 students, correct, Ms. Frenchick?
25.
Yes.
In the top 10 and 12 going to nationals.
12 going to nationals. That is a Strongsville record. Ms. Frenchick still cannot retire yet. We're proud of her accomplishments, our students' accomplishments. Without further ado, Ms. Frenchick, come on up and introduce our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Frenchick. I'm the marketing teacher at Strongsville High School. I am very excited to be here today with my students, and I just want to start off by thanking everybody for supporting us this year. My principal, Brian Tamino, Mark Smithberger, and Steve Breckner, who's here too, came to our mock competition which started out the year. Mr. Duke Evans was there. And we really did a lot of things this year that were a little bit different. We were in a new district where we competed against 500 people in our first round. So we were a little bit nervous going in, but we did very well. We had 55 qualifiers at our district competition. The next school only had 30, so we really dominated there. So I'm very happy to say that. And then at the state competition, there's about 50 different people in each category. So for our students to have 25 qualify in this top 10 is a great honor for them. And they weren't just in the 10th place, like they were pretty high up. So I'm looking forward to having you have them recognized here and to see them tonight. So like Mr. Smithberger said, we had 25, and some of them were unable to be here today due to prior commitments of athletic events and work commitments. So Haley Brent Gardner is the first one. She's not here today. She is going to be going to Elon University. She was also this year's Phi Beta Kappa recipient. Sydney Salee, also not able to be here today. She is going to Baldwin Wallace, and she'll be majoring in marketing. Ali Mansauer, 6th place, and he was Ohio State University. He'll be majoring in biology. Alec Brenza, 10th place, human resources. He will be going to Miami University, an accounting major with a minor in finance. And our first one who's here today, Jimmy Yatsen. He received 6th place. He's a junior in the quick serve restaurant category.
Great job.
Megan Bowman, who was unable to be here today, she was 8th place in the food service management category. She's also a junior, so we hope to see her back next year. Jared Avola, who was unable to be here today, he'll be attending Tri-C and majoring in business. Next we have Zach Kahn, who is 9th place, and he will be, he has baseball tonight. He's going to Miami University, and he was directly admitted into the Farmers School of Business. Erin Sims, who's here today. She will be attending Capital University and majoring in computer science.
Good job,
The team of Mary Strumpel and Bridget Hayes, if you saw the picture of them with all the medals, they stayed for us to collect all of the awards, so they were unable to be here today too. And they are also both juniors, so they will be back next year. Next is Ashley Peters. Her partner, Christina, and her both were juniors also and placed in the top 10. And on to our national qualifiers. We have Diana Ridgway. She's a junior. Diana received 4th place in the marketing management category. There you go. And next in the quick serve category, we have Olivia Abdallah. She received 2nd place at the state conference this year. Last year, she was a top 10 international finalist for at DECA Nationals. So we are very excited and hope to see her on stage again this year. She's attending Ohio State with a marketing major and a minor in Arabic.
Great job.
Gurjeevan Gill, Gil, who's coming to the national competition, will be attending Ohio State and majoring in international law, and he was also unable to be here today. Partners Kyra and Cassidy. Kyra will be going to Chicago to be a physician's assistant, and Cassidy will be going to Ohio State in biomedical chemistry, pre-med with a minor in business, and both of them will be attending the national competition, but also unable to be here today. Next, we have our team of Josh Collins and Justin Tulik. They competed in the sport and entertainment team, and Justin will be attending University of Cincinnati, majoring in international business, and Josh will be going to Lake Erie College, where he will be playing football and majoring in pre-medicine. Next, our travel and tourism team, who is here today, Megan and Casey. Megan is going to Ohio. Megan will be attending Ohio University, majoring in sports marketing, and Casey will be going to University of Dayton for pre-physical therapy. Phil Capelli, who received first place in his category, was also unable to be here today. He will be going to Ohio State and majoring in economics and Spanish. And at the state competition, his judge actually is a marketing person for Ohio State, and she offered him an internship after his interview. So it was pretty cool. Taylor Strominger, she will be going to nationals and be attending Ohio State in the fall with a business administration and management major and minor in marketing. And then lastly, we have Leah Marco, who is a junior, and she is 5th place in the automotive series. She was coming from her softball game, so she didn't know she was going to make it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jessica. Obviously, we're extremely proud and thrilled with our students' accomplishment. And Ms. Frenchek, I know I say this every year, but you know, truly special thanks to you. I've worked in a variety of districts and had the experience with DECA and other districts, and the success we're seeing is because we have wonderful families in our district and dedicated students, but I tell you, it's because of you as well. So thank you for your dedication to your students. I think we can all hear just from your presentation the passion you have for DECA marketing and the leadership you provide for all of our students in the department. So let's give Ms. Frenchek a round of applause for what she does. And I'm just glad we have a bigger boardroom now where we can fit everybody in here. So next we are going to go to some athletic recognitions, and I bring up Athletic Director Mr. Andy Jalwan, who is going to introduce some of our OHSAA state qualifiers for our winter sports. Andy?
Thank you, Mr. Ryba, Mrs. Pelko, Mr. Anagnostou, and the school board for having me here this evening to recognize, take a moment to recognize some of our athletic accomplishments from this past winter. And before I do that, congratulations again to Mrs. Frenchek and the DECA team on a great showing. We're proud of our academic achievements just as we are our athletic achievements. Our first recognition tonight is for our swim team. These are for state qualifiers. The Ohio High School Athletic Association state tournaments are known nationally as some of the toughest tournaments in high school sports. And we're very proud, especially in the two sports that we're going to recognize tonight, two individual sports that take a lot of time, energy, dedication, and commitment, values that we really promote within the athletic department. So for these athletes to achieve the level that they have in their chosen sport, nationally it's some of the toughest tournaments just to make it to the state qualifier. So our first presentation is from our swim team. Our head coach, Tom Stacy, is here tonight to introduce our swimmers that qualified for the state tournament. Coach Stacy has been coaching for Strongsville for 9 years. He's accumulated a record of 140 wins, and he was also the GCC Coach of the Year this year in our conference. So we're very proud of the swim team and their success this year, and to tell us more about that is Coach Tom Stacy.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you for having us here to recognize the swim team. A couple notes about the swim team and the season we had. The girls' swim team was 11-1 this season. They were the GCC champions. They won their sectional at Lakewood, and they've won every sectional now since 2006. Before that, actually, Magnificat won every sectional, so that's a pretty good streak for them. They were runner-up in the Northwest District and 40th in the state. The boys were 8-4. They were runner-up in the GCC. They were 4th at the Lakewood sectional, 6th in Northwest District, and 22nd in the state. Just some perspective. Swimming in Ohio, it's one of the better sports in Ohio. Swimming's actually probably every year they do rankings of all Americans, and swimming typically is 4th or 5th in the country in terms of the states and the number of all Americans that we get. So it's a very tough state to be good at. Sometimes these kids even look at times from state meets in like Maine or even like New York, North Carolina, and they'd be like, wow, you know, we do really way better there. You know, kids that don't make the state meet here would be placing in the top 10 at some of these places. So it's very difficult. So for them to accomplish this and to make the state meet in Ohio is quite a big accomplishment. Now I'd like to recognize the state qualifiers, so if they'd come up as I announce their name. First, DJ Arslanian. DJ was the GCC MVP this year. He's being considered right now for All-American in the 200 freestyle and 100 butterfly. We won't know until all the states are done, so California does it in like June. So we'll know in June, but more likely than not, he's going to be All-American in those 2 events, which is a huge accomplishment. He was also All-Ohio in the 200 free, 100 fly, and 200 freestyle relay. Congratulations. Next, senior Michael Zernak. Michael Zernak was a state qualifier in the 200 medley relay. Congratulations. Next, sophomore Garrett Green. Garrett Green was a state qualifier in the 200 medley relay, and he was awarded All-Ohio in the 200 freestyle relay. Congratulations. Next, he's not here tonight, but Tim Hoffman, he's a senior. Tim was a state qualifier in the 200 medley relay and All-Ohio in the 200 freestyle relay. Now for the girls team, Shauna Jones. Shauna Jones was a state qualifier in the 400 freestyle relay and the 100 butterfly. Congratulations. Guess our boys were just early in alphabetical order. Next, we have another boy, Kyle Matson. Kyle's a sophomore. Kyle was state qualifier in the 200 medley relay and All-Ohio in the 200 freestyle relay. Congratulations, Kyle. Next, sophomore Julia Newbold. Julia was a state qualifier in the 200 medley relay, the 100 butterfly, and the 400 freestyle relay. She was also recognized as All-Ohio in the 200 medley relay. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Next, sophomore Hannah O'Green. Hannah was a state qualifier and recognized All-Ohio in the 200 medley relay. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Next, junior Megan Pedersen. Megan was a state qualifier and All-Ohio in the 200 medley relay, also state qualifier in the 100 backstroke. Congratulations.
Good job, Megan.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, senior Rachel Reimer. Rachel was a state qualifier in All-Ohio in the 200 medley relay, state qualifier in All-Ohio in the 100 butterfly, and state qualifier in the 400 freestyle relay. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Rachel.
Next, junior Serena Stout. Serena was a state qualifier in the 400 freestyle relay. Congratulations.
Good job, Serena.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Once again, thank you for recognizing the swimmers. Thanks.
Good job, Coach.
And finally, from athletics, as Coach Stacy just alluded to, swimming being one of the toughest, Ohio being one of the toughest states in the country for swimming. When it comes to our next sport, wrestling, I don't think anyone is as well known as Ohio when it comes to our state tournament. And qualifying for the state tournament in wrestling as an individual sport, it's truly a great accomplishment for any high school athlete to be able to experience in their career, especially if you've never been to Columbus for the state wrestling championships. It's one of the premier events on the athletic calendar each year, and any student that has the opportunity to be able to go down and experience the Parade of Champions and being able to wrestle at Ohio State University, it's a really special accomplishment. To tell us more about that and to recognize our state qualifying wrestler this year, please welcome to the podium our wrestling coach, Al Pasillo.
I'm up here today to represent Jeremy Rezabek. I want to thank the board and Cameron Rybeck and Jenny and Andy. I appreciate all your support. It meant a lot to us this year. Believe me, I think our program's on the right track now, and we got a lot of good things going forward. First of all, I met Jeremy when he was in 6th grade at Brunswick High School. He was in an open tournament, and he didn't win the tournament, but you could tell right away that he was just natural at the sport, and he had the right stuff. Didn't like to lose, never, he hasn't changed that part yet, which is a good thing in wrestling. Jeremy, as a freshman, came out on the team. He was wrestling JV, and then he made the varsity team and won the sectionals. And he beat 3 kids that were rated in the state tournament. We went right through them, and they go, "Where is this kid coming from?" A remarkable athlete. As colleges go, I really believe that he could wrestle at any college in this country. If that's Ohio State, Penn State, I really believe that. He started in 6th grade, which is very hard to do, and accomplish the things he's done. Every year he took another step forward. Last year in the summer, he was the state representative in the national freestyle tournament in Fargo, North Dakota. I want to introduce Jeremy Rezabek. Come on up, Jeremy.
Basically, before I leave for tonight, I would like my parents to stand up for me, please. Those are my parents, Joe and Nancy. I'll tell you what, they devoted their heart as much as I did in the sport. There used to be nights where I used to never eat throughout the week just to make weight for one day, and it stinks a lot. I also like Mrs. Evangelista to stand up too, please. Is she in here? There she is. Thank you. No, stay standing up. Stay standing up. Stay standing up. You too, Mom, Dad. Come on. I really like to thank you guys, Ms. Evangelista, for keeping our stats, Mom and Dad for keeping me fed. And Al is a very great coach. Just like he said, met me in 6th grade, Brunswick tournament. I do not like to lose, not at all. Besides wrestling being tough, it's also an emotional sport too. So hopefully I get to see Al throughout my years growing up and everything, and For college, I'll be attending Tri-C for a year and transferring to CSU. Thank you, guys.
What's your weight? All right, keep an eye on you.
Thank you, coaches. Thank you, athletes, and thank you, Mr. Jalwan. Obviously, we're very proud of you. And Jeremy, I think you summed it up for all of our athletes and our students that we have a lot to thank from our parents and that support group that helps us achieve what we want to achieve in life. And, you know, it's just not because swimming and wrestling is here tonight, but all sports take a lot of dedication. But swimming and wrestling are some of the top sports. Swimmers are up, crack of dawn. Do we practice at like 5 o'clock in the morning? Is that what we do here? Yeah. So, and like you talked about what you've got to do for wrestling to compete. So just, we're very proud of you. Congratulations. And thank you for being such wonderful representation and representatives of our school district. So one more time, everyone, please a big round of applause for our coaches and our athletes. Now, Mr. Micko, it's my time to continue on with my report to the community, but as you know, I will turn it over to you to maybe let some of our folks go home.
I was going to ask, is there anything in your report to the community that they need
Oh.
to hear?
I don't think I had to ask.
They've been here too before.
That's
they know
right.
The drill.
Have a good night.
Everybody, guys.
Congratulations.
So, Mr. Ryba, before you continue, I just want to publicly thank all the students. I say it a lot, we're proud of them because of their accomplishments. It is a blessing in Strongsville that we have so many examples of students doing the right things, whether it's DECA, whether it's swimming, whether it's any of the sports, whether it's academics. But they do the right things, and we can be proud of them. And I do want to thank them for taking the time to come to our board meetings and let us celebrate their accomplishments. It's an example to those younger that they know what they can look forward to when they become a little older and go to high school. So I'll say thank you again, and that we're very proud of them again. And now I cannot wait to anticipate your report to the community.
That's right. It's game time for me, Mr. Micko. I'm ready to go. All right. So we've got a couple things I want to talk about this evening in terms of the report to the community. Specifically about enrollment, staffing, and some of the things that we go through this time of the year to prepare for the 16-17 school year. So last time we spoke about kindergarten registration. Kindergarten registration is concluded in terms of the week-long registration. However, we do encourage our families that haven't registered to please come to our new administrative offices, call, register, so we can accurately prepare. We have, because of enrollment and interest, we have added a 6th section of full-day kindergarten. So this is our 3rd year. We went from 4 sections the first year to 5 to now we have 6. And the deadline has passed, and everybody that got an invitation letter has committed. So we have right now 149 full-day kindergarten students slated for next year, and our full-day kindergarten is closed. We have 4 students on the waiting list. And we will see what happens throughout the coming weeks prior to the start of the school year. We will also be offering a half-day section at every single elementary. Right now, we only have 1 half-day section at every elementary, but we are getting close there in terms of filling up those sections. As of today, we have 260 kindergartners enrolled. Just to give you a frame of reference, today, currently in our kindergarten classes, we have 285. So as we look at typically, we've got the next 3 to 4 months, we will see probably more than those 25 students. I would project based on past years, we'll probably be close to 300 kindergarten students. Now, the other part that we go through is we have not only kindergarten students enrolling in our district, but we have families that are moving in or know they'll be here in the fall. And we have other families moving in as well. And this is the time time of year we spend a lot of time working with families. And I want to talk about 2 different ways we handle new student enrollments and class sizes. Now, we don't have a class cap. We have class guidelines. So in the elementary level, we use 25 students per class as the guideline for kindergarten through 3rd grade. And we use 30 as a guideline for 4th and 5th grade. Now, the reason we talk about elementary a lot and we don't talk about middle school and high school is we manage class size based on teams and how many students are on a team and how many sections of each course we offer. And because of all of our students are in one building, it's easier to manage. But when you have 5 separate buildings and it's built or based on where students live, you could have one building that has 60 first graders and another building that has 37 first graders. And so it's difficult to balance that. What we do at this time of the year, Ms. Pelko works with our registration department, and we cap classes. So I'll give you an example of Chapman. Chapman Elementary School in 3rd grade has reached its maximum of students that we can accept based on the teachers we have. I believe in 3rd grade next year we have 2 teachers. So we have 50 students that have enrolled in Chapman 3rd grade. If parents call and say, you know, I've just moved into the area, I have a Chapman 3rd grader, we'd like to enroll them, what we tell them is, we will put you in Chapman, but you're on a waiting list. They are put on a waiting list until probably late July, early August, and then we look at the 3rd grade numbers across the district to determine, are we going to open up an additional section, or are we going to have that student attend another school? These are difficult decisions. Parents do not like to hear that they moved into a neighborhood to have an elementary school and then that elementary school does not have an open section. But right now, if we added staff to take care of every section that was closed, we would have to add 8 new teachers across the district, which as we look at a rough estimate, that's about $750,000 of increased expenses. So when we talk about we can only keep 50 students and we have 52, then we make those decisions of do we go above those guidelines and have 2 sections of 26, or at Muraski last year, we had like 13 first graders on a wait list, so we said we'll add an additional section of 3rd grade. Now, should it come to the end where, for example, the 3rd grade at Chapman only has 3 extra 3rd graders and we are going to look at other schools in the area. Whitney is a popular one. We have Chapman, students that live in Chapman area that attend Whitney. We provide transportation for those families. They go to that school for 1 year, and then we call them. We've already called our families back this year to say, hey, we now have room in Chapman. Would you like to stay at Whitney, or would you like to come back to Chapman? So that's what we work through. The last piece of it at the elementary level is out-of-boundary requests or intra-district enrollment. So we have a policy that allows parents the ability to apply to go to an elementary school outside of where they live. And a lot of times we have it for babysitting or daycare needs because we only transport to daycares in the area of a school. So there is an application online. If you go in the search of our website and just type in out-of-boundary application, you could put those in, and that is due by July 10th. We take about 2 weeks to make a decision, so by July 31st, the district will make a decision whether or not we'll accept that out-of-boundary request. Now, we've changed the rules a few years ago where it used to be a yearly application. Now, once you're approved, you are officially in that school. If I'm a family and I apply for an out-of-boundary to go to Kinsner and you're accepted, you are now, in our estimation, officially a Kinsner student, and if you want to go back to your home school, you have to apply for another out-of-boundary. With that out-of-boundary request, we do not provide transportation. So that's something, it's your choice as a parent, that you would have to provide transportation. So that's the update I wanted to give for this month, share where we are with enrollment, share why we make some of the decisions we do, why we wait to late July to see what we can do. But as we've gone down from 8 elementary schools to 7 to 6, and now next year down to 5, the variability between the buildings is leveling off. And time will tell as we see where it all plays out with our final version of boundaries for the Drake closure. But we feel comfortable with the class sizes that we have. But unless there's any questions, that's my report to the community for this evening.
I was just going to say, I think it's good that we communicate that. we understand the stress that this causes for the parents. At the same time, we're always balancing, as Mr. Ryba pointed out, financial prudence and the effect that's going to have. But I think it's important that we communicate that it's not a bureaucratic, we just slice the knife type thing. We look at it and balance it, and we realize that a lot of times it's fluid. A lot of times what today is, oh my gosh, there's so many kids at one elementary school, a month into the school year that can simply take care of itself. But we're always aware of it, and I would hope that parents just communicate with us their concerns so that we can have that dialogue back and forth.
And that concludes my report to the community, Mr. Miko.
Thank you. At this time, we have public comment. I have no slips. Is there anybody with a dying urge? So we have no public comment. Number 8 is approval of minutes. The March 3rd, 2016 regular Board of Education meeting, along with the March 17th, 2016 regular Board of Education meeting. All district video and audio recordings will be a permanent part of the minutes. All board-approved minutes are available on our website. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Evans, a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Grozen. Mr. Anagnastu?
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes, motion passes. Number 9, Treasurer's Report. Mr. Anagnastu.
Thank you, Mr. Miko. I have quite a few items on my agenda, but before I begin, just want to say congratulations to all the students that were here, all the accomplishments. That's awesome to have all those recognitions and how well they did. So moving on to my report, the first item, the financial report month ending for March 31st, 2016, attaches the exhibit, and then I'm also going to go to the podium with my accompanying presentation to explain the exhibit. All right, so this is the same report that I've been doing on a monthly basis. So going in, our district goals, as we touched on, student achievement and growth and financial prudence. Obviously, this falls under financial prudence. Under financial prudence, the slide that I've had from every month, same one about all the district initiatives that we take on cost-saving measures. The general fund summary, I know this graph is hard to see, but it's also in the board packet under Exhibit A. But just to summarize it, that's the monthly comparison of revenues and expenditures through March compared to March of the previous 2 years. Overall, revenues are up through March compared to last March by $4.6 million. This is primarily due to a combination of a few items. First being the property tax settlement was received in March this year compared to April last year. I'll touch more on taxes on next couple slides. Also, the state allocation revenue is down due to primarily the $1.4 million reduction of the TPP reimbursement. The state's going to give us that as a supplement, and we actually received 80% of that today. The remaining 20% is going to be hopefully received by the end of the school year or possibly early July. They're waiting for final state data before they pass that out. Other revenues are up also due to the TIF revenues from the county. They came in March this year compared to April of last year. Overall expenditures compared to March of last year to this March is slightly higher. This is primarily due to a couple of things. First, salaries are trending lower compared to last year's, and purchase services are lower compared to last year. But it's netted against $1.1 million of transfer that I did in February, which that transfer was done in June of last year, compared to last year. Touching on purchase services, materials and supplies, and capital outlay, those expenses vary from year to year based on when goods and services are needed and the invoices are received and paid.
George, so the other objects is the 1.1 million you put into the retirement accounts?
Yes, it was a transfer.
Okay.
So that transfer, last year, that transfer was done at the end of the year. This year, I just made it when the expense took
Gotcha.
place. General fund revenues. In the October forecast, 71.7 million in revenue was forecasted. Through March, we received 64.2 million in revenue. This year, I'm projecting we'll receive about 8.2 million in revenue between April and June for a total projected revenue of 72.4 million. This represents about a $700,000 increase compared to the October forecast. In regards to property taxes, the district received 1.5 million more property taxes than forecasted. The reasons for this increase are two primary reasons. One, the collection rate increase, which more of the tax bills that were sent out by the county were paid compared to the previous year, and that represented about a $600,000 increase. And prior delinquencies collected represented about $855,000. So the combination of those two was the reason why taxes were up. But these increases were offset by a decrease in TIF revenues. TIF revenues came in about $900,000 less than the forecast, and also $900,000 less compared to last year as well. After working a few weeks with the county to try and get additional information on why this was, it was due that in 2015, $900,000 delinquency was paid, which kind of threw off the amounts, the comparison. So overall, these two netted together, we see about a $600,000 increase in taxes. The next slide, revenues by category. Through March, we're trending similar to years past, with the exception of taxage, which I explained in the previous slide that last year we received it in April compared to March of this year. And the state property allocation is down due to the TPP reimbursement, which we received 80% of it today. General fund expenditures. Through March, 74% of the total appropriation of 71.4 has been expended and encumbered. A statistical spending range of 9 of 12 months, or 75% of the fiscal year, has passed, and 19 of 25 pays, or 76% of the pays, have passed. So overall, the 74% expenditure level is right around where it should be for through March. And then kind of looking at the expenditures through March, the chart on the left represents the percent encumbered and spent for this time of year compared to the previous 2 years through March. Salaries and benefits is where it should be, as indicated by the black line. And since the other expenses are nonlinear, the gold line represents a 3-year average to where those are. And the chart on the right represents the actual expenses through March compared to the previous 2 years. And then the general fund cash balance. Through March, the district has 13.9 million revenue over expenditures, giving an ending cash balance of 26.2 million and 23.7 million unencumbered cash. And based on the chart on the right, the 26.2 million represents the highest cash balance compared to the previous 2 years through March. Moving on to student fee balance. Through April 18, we have about 872 students with an outstanding fee balance of $113,000. Of the total, 43,000 or 38% is from this year, while the remaining 70,000 or 62% is from previous years. Food service.
George, hang on a second.
Yeah.
I just gotta say something about that student fee balance. This is an ongoing concern for the board, and I know we've taken steps and will continue to take steps, but if you are a student and you participate in a sport and you don't pay your participation fees, your participation will be curtailed. I mean, it's just something we can't have. It's unfair to the kids that do pay their fees. And there's a lot of other miscellaneous fees that we have that need to be paid because we don't have the money in our budget to cover all of that, expendable things that are used, lab fees, those kinds of things. They need to be paid. And I think it's kind of disgraceful that we have 62% of our students that have not paid from previous years. That will not be the case going forward. So if you don't pay your fees, then there's going to be consequences that are not pleasant for everybody concerned.
Thanks, Colonel. Moving on to food service revenues through March 31st. The chart on the left represents revenues that have been received through the fiscal year through March. Since the timing of the federal reimbursement revenues varies, this causes slight fluctuations in the revenue in the data. So the chart on the right represents revenues when they are earned and not received. as you can see, revenues are slightly higher, or higher compared to the previous 2 years. And this is primarily due to additional serving days through this point of the year. About 12 additional serving days. Last year we had 77 calamity days compared to 0 this year, and we're also ahead on the number of school days as well due to the earlier start of the school year and finishing earlier compared to last year. Next slide, number of meals served. Total meals served is higher compared through March, and at the average is slightly higher as well. And primary reason is, one, the number of serving days, and also breakfast is now in full force. Breakfast served, breakfast is higher, and the average per day is higher. Again, we're full implementation. Last year is still being phased in. Breakfast participation rate, 7.22%. Number of lunches served is higher. The actual number of lunches served is higher, but the average lunches per day is right about the same as to where it was last year through March. Lunch participation rate, it's 44.72% compared to last year where it was 43.2%. So net gain through March 31st. Through March 31st, as you can see on the chart on the left, right now through March, we're at the break-even point where our cost per meal and our revenue per meal is equal, but forecasting out through the rest of the year as those additional days start catching up to the expenses that are paid through June, that gap is going to widen, and I'm estimating based on the trends of the expenditures that probably going to be about $100,000 in the negative at the end of the fiscal year, which is represented on the next slide. And that concludes the financial report, if there's any questions.
Any questions?
All right, so moving on to the next part of the agenda. So item B, the tax rate resolution. This is an annual resolution from the county found in Exhibit B. If you recall from the January board meeting, I had presented the board, and the board approved the tax budget that was submitted to the county. Well, this is the second part to that. The tax budget requests the taxes to be authorized, and the county certifies the rates. The county then sends back the rates through this resolution for your consideration, and the tax rates are the same that those requested in the tax budget.
And not to put too fine a hair on it, although it's routine, we request the maximum amount and they return the rate at the maximum amount.
Correct. Item C, the approval of new funds. The first one, Fund 49953. This is a fund that I'm creating within the bond fund for the initial funding of the field turf. And Fund 3009913, and this is for a student activity group at the high school Leadership Academy. This is a student activity group that was created last year and overseen by Principal Mark Smithberger. This year they're starting to do fundraiser, so a financial account is being created for that, and I believe they had their first event this past weekend, and I think it was a success.
It was colorful.
Yeah. Items D and E are not part of the consent calendar, and these are amendments from two resolutions that were approved at the last board meeting regarding the initial funding of the turf projects for both the high school and the middle school. After the initial vote and looking at the timeline of both the elementary summer projects, we decided it was best to borrow from the elementary school renovations bucket of funding rather than the middle school savings bucket. The bulk of the elementary school projects will not take place this summer, and those funds will be sitting this year as waiting to be spent in the next summer. So while the middle school construction will be wrapping over the course of this summer, this does not take away from any of the elementary school projects, as we should have received most of our fundraising dollars back to reimburse the fund by the time those projects are set to begin. By making this adjustment now would prevent us from coming back in the future in the event of something unplanned happens in the middle school over the course of the summer and those savings were needed. As mentioned, these items are not part of the consent calendar, so we'll need a separate vote.
Item D, construction bond funds, excellent in athletics campaign. Strongsville High School Turf Project. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that unallocated bond funds and elementary school renovation bond funds in an amount not to exceed $563,198 from the $81 million bond issue be applied toward the Excellence in Athletics campaign for the synthetic turf project at Strongsville High School. These funds will be reimbursed through fundraising dollars received through fiscal year 2026 and $300,000 bond interest as earned, up to a total reimbursement of $563,198. This replaces agenda April 7th, 2006, timely information. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Grozen, a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Evans. Any discussion? I do want to highlight for the community, George and I talked about this at length, and what this allows us to do is prevent us from coming back in subsequent agendas and moving money from different funds back and forth. The elementary projects are the projects that time-wise are furthest out. So from an accounting standpoint, it makes sense to borrow those funds. The fundraising will continue and we'll reimburse those funds, and the goal is to have those funds reimbursed before we would even need them. So this basically lets us have a cleaner accounting, lets us have a cleaner agenda in the future, and it's very important that the message is understood. The turf project, we have the money. It's a timing issue. Again, we are in a excellent position that we basically can loan the money to ourselves at no interest. Again, saving ourselves that interest that we would pay if we would have to borrow that money. On a simple level, it's as if we could borrow the money ourselves and give ourselves our own mortgage at 0%. Is there any other comments?
Yeah, I'd say if there's any business folks out there that are sitting on the fence, there are still opportunities available to help with the turfing projects, and that we would love to pay this money back quicker rather than later. So keep those cards and letters coming in, folks.
Take the roll.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Construction,
Do you mean to read?
I don't want to step on your toes.
I'll follow your lead.
Construction bond funds, excellent athletics campaign, Strongsville Middle School turf project out of the 004 construction fund. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that unallocated bond funds and elementary school renovation bond funds in an amount not to exceed $570,035 from the $81 million bond issue be applied toward the Excellence in Athletics campaign for the synthetic turf project at Strongsville Middle School. $96,406 will be reimbursed through fundraising donation dollars received through fiscal year 2026 based on present donation commitments. This replaces agenda April 7th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Grozen, second by Mr. Evans. Any discussion? Again, to reiterate what Colonel Evans said, we do have fundraising, advertising opportunities, and if a business or any interested party in the community is interested, please contact Mr. Ryba.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Would you like to continue?
Sure. Thank you. Item F, transfer of funds. This is following the two items that were just approved. If you go to Exhibit C, I have listed out the transfers there. The first transfer is transferring the year-to-date interest that we have received to make that available to the high school field turf fund. So it's transferring it from Fund 004000 to 00499953. The next transfer is transferring the unallocated bond funds and the elementary school renovations for the initial funding of the field turf project for both the high school and the middle school. As you can see, the furniture equipment unallocated is coming out of 004000. The elementary school renovations is coming out of 00499914, and they are going into the middle school and high school fund 00499953. The next transfer is the demolition and abatement funds based on the project bid amounts. What I'm doing here is I'm reallocating the budget within the demolition budgets. Due to bid day savings for center, the BOE demo was able to be absorbed within the budget that was set for center, and we have a savings there, so I'm transferring $143,972 from the BOE savings to cover the bid amounts for the OPS building, Albion, and the Drake estimate. And those are coming out of 00914. For Drake and Albion, it's going in 004000, and for transparency, the OPS building is within the same fund, but for transparency. And the last transfer, this is transfer 80,000 from the middle school construction to the high school construction within the GMP amount for Hammond. This transfer will not impact the bottom line for either project, as Hammond will reduce the commitment at the middle school by 80,000, increase at the high school. This is something that they needed within their amounts, and they're within budget. It's moving it from the middle school to the high school. And then on Exhibit C on page 2, the first is the construction balances to show what the balances represent after the transfers. Then on page 3, it's setting up a similar chart to track the balances for the field turf project.
George?
Yes.
Before you go any further, I just want to real quick, if you're just following along, it seems like we're just a lot of gobbledygook accounting, but I want to thank you because the $81 million entrusted to us by the community, we're going to track every dollar. It's not as if we just have a big bucket of money and, oh, don't worry, we won't run out. We're going to track every dollar. Mr. Grozan will remind us that eventually we will run out of money, but we're not going to run out of money until all of our projects are done and paid for. So I did want to highlight that and thank you for paying attention to it.
Thank you. Moving on to item G, student activity program purpose, goals, and proposed budget renovations, or not renovation, revisions, sorry, thinking construction. Exhibit D, Fund 014-9903, the high school AP, ACT, SAT fund. The high school is estimating that they will need about an additional $30,000 in budget. This account is a pass-through in the sense that the fees are collected from the students that take the test, and then we pay the bills. So all the fees associated with this are paid for by the students. And then Albion Middle School Fund 019-9917 and Center Middle School, the same fund. It's increasing their budgets, first at the Albion by $1,500 to set their budget to the cash received on hand for this grant, and then at Center for $2,430 to set their budget to the amount that they have for the grant. Item H, student activity program purpose, goals, and proposed budgets for fiscal year 16. New budgets, which is found under Exhibit F. First is the newly created, the High School Leadership Academy, Fund 300-9913. This is the budget for the new fund approval that was discussed in item C. And then Fund 019-9954, both for Albion Middle School Archery Grant and Center Middle School Archery Grant. This is the set their budget for the archery grant that they received to purchase their archery equipment. Item I, the amended appropriation measure, Exhibit F. There are several changes which are listed within that exhibit. Just to highlight a few. Fund 4, the bond fund, to increase by $200,000 for the interest to be spent towards the turf. Fund 14, which is the Rotary account in and out, to increase for the SAT and ACT funding. And also there's a facilities usage account in there to increase that budget to the appropriate cash levels. Fund 19, other local grants, is to increase appropriations to the grant cash levels that are on hand. Fund 22 is the OSHA tournament games. This is for any tournaments that we host where the money's collected and then sent to ODE, and we pay the expenses out of there. Just need to come out of our checkbook since we're the hosts, and that's to increase appropriations for any spring tournaments that we may host. Fund 300 to increase for the new student activity funds, and then Fund 400s and 500s. The Fund 400s are the state grants, and the Fund 500s are federal grants. All these adjustments are the adjustments and appropriation for the final reallocation of the prior year carryover allocations that ODE just made the adjustments on. So it doesn't decrease our current allocation. It's just they finalized their carryover amounts and made the appropriate adjustments. And if no questions, moving on to item J, invoice order approval, Fund 22 OSHA tournament funds. As explained, what that fund is an in and out. This is for an after-effect PO of $18,000 for a basketball tournament expense that the district hosted. The game was supposed to be hosted at the high school, but due to the anticipated large crowd, the game was moved from our high school to CSU, and we were not able to generate a purchase order in time for the game. All expenses are reimbursed by OSHA, and it just needs to run through our books since our books are audited. And then the final resolution, which I have, or final item, which I have not a part of the consent calendar, to be voted on separately, is the food service RFP recommendation. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the school board of Education moves forward with the award of a contract to Chartwell School Dining upon successful negotiation of all remaining contract concerns and approval from the Ohio Department of Education. Once the contract is finalized and approved by Ohio Department of Education, it will be brought forward before the Strongsville Board of Education for final approval. What this resolution does is allows us to begin to finalize and negotiate the contract with Chartwell's.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Colonel Evans, second by Mrs. Ludwig. Call the roll.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mr. Grosjean?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
I have a
And-
comment, Richard. Please.
Go ahead. I was gonna say that concludes my report.
Okay, well, that's nice to hear. I just want to recognize some of our cafeteria ladies are here tonight, and we really appreciate your patience with this whole process. We kind of gave you the assurance that we would do a very thorough and consideration of everything that was involved. And I would tell you that at no time did we have a lack of confidence in your abilities or your dedication to your jobs. All of us here, I think, remember our cafeteria ladies when we were in school, and they were always special for us, and they were special to this board, too. I'd also like to recognize our folks from Chartwell's in the back, Molly and Mike, who are going to be spearheading the effort to implement our management service. And it's a really exciting time to be in Strongsville schools. This is going to be an excellent improvement. I can tell you that I know the students that I've talked to are very excited about it, and I think our employees are going to be excited about it. And I can't wait to see what we have when everything's said and done. It's going to be really cool. So thank you very much for everybody. Appreciate it.
Mr. Ryba.
Thank you, Mr. Micko. I do have a few items under timely information. Just an update, as we know, and the board approved a while ago, Drake Elementary will officially close here, along with Albion and Center as I was told earlier, I think we have about 21 days left officially tomorrow. So we're coming to the end of the school year, but we have spent this week going through a variety of transition activities for our Drake students. So on Tuesday, the principals from Kinsner, Muraski, Sarar, and Whitney, which Mr. Stacko visited his own building at Drake, gave presentations to all of our students. So our students at Drake were divided up into which building they'll be going to next year, and our principals and some student council representatives from each building met to talk about what their new school would be like. And how it's very similar to what they've experienced at Drake. On Wednesday, all of our students, Drake students, got on a bus and visited the school they'll be attending next year to take a tour, go into some of the classes, do an activity, and be officially welcomed into their new school. And as Mr. Faust put out last week in our e-blast, all of the buildings have videos that are completed. So whether you're new to our district or a Drake student relocating, or just any student that wants to get a tour of the building, all of those videos are on all of our elementary websites to take a look. Our last transition activity is going to be held on, I believe, I think it's a Wednesday, May 4th, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. There will be a community open house at our buildings accepting Drake students. So Kinsner Elementary, Muraski, Sarar, and Whitney We'll all have an open house. It's self-guided tours. There will be some staff that will be there. Again, another opportunity for our students transitioning to be in the building, walk the building, get comfortable to where their classes will be. And I'm proud of our principals, teachers, and staff that have done a great job transitioning and supporting the transition activities for our Drake students. Last thing I want to mention is just some upcoming dates. This week we finished our third of our 3 walkthroughs at Center Middle School, and again, I would say probably 150 plus community members and former students and retired staff were there. It was a great evening. This is our final walkthrough event, will be this Saturday. So Saturday, April 23rd, from 12 to 3 p.m., we will have a community walkthrough. All 3 buildings will be open. So Drake Elementary, Center Middle School, and Albion Middle School will all be open, and that will conclude our month-long walkthrough activities. But I have to say, our community was very appreciative of opening the doors and having one last opportunity, and I think it's just a testament to how much our schools mean to our community, that we probably had so far nearly 500 people walk through. And it's interesting to talk to folks that were the first class at Albion, or attended the old board building in Center Middle School together, or to take pictures and say, hey, I made that tile art design at Drake Elementary School, and can I have it? When are you taking it down? It's been a great event, so we're looking forward to Saturday. Also, will be just a reminder that Tuesday, April 26th is our next early release day. Again, in the e-blast that'll go out tomorrow, it'll have the schedule there. Students will be arriving home 1 hour earlier than typical. This month's focus is we have all of our teachers, as a part of the evaluation system, have to do student learning objectives, or SLOs, the majority of them. They'll be finalizing those. The middle school teams will be together again to prepare for the new middle school structure. Mrs. Pelko is leading our guidance and school psychologists and work to help make sure we're supporting the social emotional needs of our students. And so it's an action-packed day with various curricular activities and work that will happen. And again, appreciate our parents' patience as we dismiss a little early on that day. Next, on Saturday, April 30th, we will hold, as far as I know, first in a long, long time, Strongsville Job Fair. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It will be at the High School Media Center. I'd like to thank Jenny and her staff for coming up with a great idea and planning and organizing it. So Jenny, if you want to share kind of the jobs and the focus of the job fair.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't also thank Lori Sinek, our Assistant Supervisor at Transportation. It really was her idea, as we're still looking for bus drivers out there, substitute drivers, and which could potentially turn into full-time employment with us as we get them trained. We're also looking for substitutes as we near the end of the year and the weather gets warmer. Sometimes we get more illnesses, and we need substitutes to come in, and it's a perfect opportunity for Cameron and me and Mr. Donnelly to meet some of our folks in person and really talk to them and give them a good idea of what they would be coming in to do. So we're looking for monitors, aides, again, bus drivers, teachers, and custodians to fill substitute positions right now, but it doesn't mean that it could potentially lead to full-time employment, as many in our OPSI staff have been subs and then become full-time employees. So anybody interested, please come in. We'll do some quick interviews and get you all set up for what you need to be an employee.
Thanks, Jenny. A couple more dates. First of all, there'll be an article in Strongsville Post on this weekend's edition. We've spent a lot of time communicating and putting together opportunities for our internal staff to share with me how we're doing, the progress we're making. And in the month of May, the first 3 Tuesdays in May, we are extending an open invitation to any parent, to any community member that would like to come in and visit with me to share our successes, to share where we can improve, to make sure that we're the best district possible for our community. So on May 3rd, 10th, and 17th, they're all Tuesdays from 5 to 7 p.m. We will have kind of an open house in this building, and if community members that would like to set up a time to meet with me can call the district line and set up a time. Or if they just want to wander in and talk with me, I will be available for those Tuesdays. and it will be awful awkward if I'm sitting here by myself, so I would encourage somebody to come talk to me and visit with me. So I look forward to...
One of the 5 of us will be there.
I look forward to getting feedback from our community on how we can best meet the needs of our Strongsville residents and students. And then finally, Saturday, May 7th, Strongsville Education Foundation will hold its 2nd annual Jockeys and Juleps event. It's an outstanding event, as I know Carl and George have mentioned in the past. We would encourage everybody to attend. Again, this Friday, Dan has put in the e-communication, how to purchase tickets, how to attend. It's at the Strongsville Rec Center. I believe it's a 7 o'clock start, 6 o'clock start, somewhere in there. But encourage you to attend. It's a great time. Money goes to a great cause, comes back to our Strongsville students in terms of scholarships, our staff in terms of educational grants, as well as the different donations that they give. So be on the lookout for that, and it would be great to see a large group there supporting that worthwhile event. And that concludes my timely information, unless there's additional questions for me. Okay, at this time, I'll ask Director of Business Services, Mark Donnelly, to come up for his report. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Ryba. Give me 1 minute while I get the computer set here. Okay, there's a lot been happening with our middle school construction and our high school renovation. There's a lot of pictures tonight. There's not a whole lot of typed out words, just because it's cool to see all the things that are going on at the middle school. Here we have a shot looking into or across the cafeteria area. And what I'm trying to point out is a crisscross pattern you see behind this railing, which is the basis and the sealing process before they put on terrazzo floors. And after they get the crisscross sealant going, this tan pattern you see on the side is what comes next, is they put their initial coat of, don't ask me what it is, but it's terrazzo material, the base coat going down. And eventually they put the terrazzo materials down. There's different areas that are different colors, so they have some dividing stripes of metal that they put into the ground. They grind it down to get a nice smooth surface, and eventually they polish it up and clean it up really good, and we start to have what is the finished product of terrazzo. This is one area that would actually is heading back into the music wing of the school. And the product, with the different lines they put into it, it looks really sharp. Now, we all know that the colors we've talked about, the 3rd floor for the 8th grade has orange. The 2nd floor of the building has blue chairs and blue accent walls. The 1st floor has the green accent walls and green chairs. Within the terrazzo, we have some areas with some orange speckles. There's some green speckles. There's also some blue speckles. It's very well done. It looks great. I was kind of worried that it would be too sharp of a color, but you barely notice it unless you look at it. But it does, because of the gray, seems to be the walking paths within the cafeteria. And these other areas are simply the general areas of the cafeteria. It looks really cool, and as they get more and more done, it's great to see it take shape. Now we move into the media center. Some of the built-in shelves going in. This is the 1st floor of the media center. When I was there, there wasn't much else to look at as furniture-wise, but more furniture is coming in. I think I got these pictures on Tuesday, and I think a lot has happened in the last 2 days. This is a shot from the 2nd floor looking out into what is the media center, also across the way into the cafeteria. Since this was taken, the area up above, this area here, the slats that are the finished product have gone in and they've been installed, and it has a different look to it now completely. Down below are the windows, and you can see where there's a single man door and a double door main entrance off to the left. The doors obviously need to be installed, but each day more and more stuff is being installed and added to the whole process. Some lockers are in on the 3rd floor. You'll notice obviously there's different colors, which match up to the different colors we have in the floor tile pattern. So you will have some of that medium taupe looking, white looking, we have charcoal looking. Not exactly going to match to the lockers themselves, but those are the same colors you'll see in the floor pattern. We have our smart projectors, our whiteboards are going in certain classrooms. This might actually be what will be the makerspace room. I can't remember exactly, but it took too many pictures. But it's all coming together. We have furniture that's showing up, being staged. There's plenty that are in the classrooms. It's here. I'm just pictures showing the stuff is coming in. I did not see the chairs yet, but the chairs might be here by now. I haven't looked. Also, on the side of the building where we used to have parking lot, we used to have the bus looping. This is standing in what is roughly going to be one of the lanes of the track, looking to the west, and I'm looking down the football field, which hasn't obviously been built yet, but they are already working on the football field and all the site work that has to be done. Turning around, looking the other way, where the parking lot used to be, they had some fences out there between, I don't know, I'm not sure what it was between. It used to be a bus lot many years ago in the 90s or 80s. All that's gone. They've obviously graded it all out. They're tearing up all the asphalt and hauling it away. They're prepping the site to be what eventually will be our permanent detention pond, so all the stormwater runs off into an area that holds it before it floods into the city storm sewer system. It's a requirement by the EPA. It's an excellent process, but all this is being done right now, so we meet our schedule. That's just another shot about the same area. It just seemed to be a better view of it, but the work is continuing. We can't see it because it's all hidden behind our buildings, et cetera, but as Center Middle School comes down, as the annex comes down, more of this will be available for the public to actually see from the street. This is the, which is what's been called the activity room, the fitness room, or maybe the weight room. The black tile, it's not really tile, it's a rubberized surface. It's kind of spongy to allow for different activities, athletic activities to happen in this room. That is being finished. We now have gym floor subfloor has been installed. They are positioning, obviously you can see the wood flooring in place as they get ready to start installing that next week. We should see some gym floor very, very soon. The lockers are not installed, but they're ready to be installed. This was taken a couple days ago. They may have been installed in the meantime, but the lockers in the football locker room are in place, about to be installed. We move on to the high school at this point. This is in the band wing. The restrooms, just like the same pattern we've seen over and over again, the restroom tiles have been completely replaced, ready for fixtures. They're moving along well with the schedule in the high school. The band room itself, the sound panels, the square panels up above, have yet to be replaced. Those will be replaced. I believe they'll have some color to them. However, the carpet, the painting, the lighting, I don't know if you remember the ceiling tile in this room. It's gone. We now have fresh ceiling tile, fresh lights. Looking the other way, you see where band lockers, storage lockers will be going against those pieces of wood on the side of the room there. But the band room is coming together nicely. It looks great. Hopefully the students in the band classes, et cetera, music classes, benefit greatly from all this work. This is the choir room. They're obviously working on the risers that are built into the choir room and the different flooring products that are going in. This is standing on the area above, coming out of the upper area of the band room, looking down into the band office area. Same paint pattern we've seen throughout the building. It's continuing. New lighting, fresh walls, fresh floors. This is where the band uniform storage will be. Used to be the teacher's lounge, I believe. The double doors you see off to the side there, those are brand new doors, been cut into the wall just this year. So now we have access to the band uniforms. The students can come through there, pick up their uniforms, and head out the other way as they climb on the bus to go to the away games or out to the stadium for home games. This isn't a real attractive shot, but this is where in the gymnasium we had 6 air handling units up above. They're probably old dinosaur-looking things. They've all been removed. This isn't even phase 5 work, where they're moving into phase 6 work to get ahead of the game, so to make sure that they stay on schedule. So the air handling units obviously are no longer needed due to the good weather we're having, so they're getting ahead of the schedule with the demolition of that area. They worked over the weekend to do that. One weekend they took out 3, the next weekend they took out the other 3. The locker rooms, we have multiple locker rooms, not just one, but more locker rooms are coming together. They still have the benches yet to be put in here, but the lockers are being put in place, bright and shiny. I'm turning around, looking in a different direction. I believe there's still some ceiling work and such to be done, but the lockers are coming together nice. This is AUX 2 gym, which is actually a lay-down storage area for all the materials that the contractors need. There's an awful lot of stuff they need to use. They all have their materials carts, their tools carts, et cetera, and there's many different trades in there, many different contractors. You can see off to the right here, a little better shot, they have all the duct work and such to ensure we have clean ducts before they put them up, until they put them up and connect them. They keep the ends sealed so that they stay clean no matter what's going on in the room. Dust is not working its way into the ductwork, so they don't blow that all around the building when they turn on the system. This is our wrestling room, where hopefully many, many more state qualifiers will come from. This is the wall we built this year. Obviously, it's been painted and primed. All the duct work has been reworked. Mats are being taken care of. The mats on the wall have been ordered and figured out. They won't be here for a few weeks, but the wrestling room is moving along in a great schedule. And finally, our Mustang. I wondered where the Mustang went. I couldn't find it. They all said it's gone to the media center, and I didn't see it in the media center. So I had to search around, and I found the Mustang in a weight room. Apparently, he's excited for the new weight room, too. So our construction at the high school, our renovation at the middle school is going along very well. And I know it's probably beating the same drum we've all heard, but it's a great thing to say, on time and under budget. Thank you very much to everybody involved in the construction project and all the involvement from the board. All their contractors are doing it's a real team effort, and it just continues to move forward at a great pace. Are there any questions about construction?
Yeah, Mark. That retention pond at the middle school, what is the geography around that going to look like? Is there any kind of a fence to prevent student entry to that, or?
I don't believe there's a fence. I believe it's a low-level it's not like a deep pond or anything. It's a low-level area that probably will be dry most of the time unless there's a large rainstorm, and then it fills up slowly, holds water, and lets it drain out slowly over time. I don't know what the maximum depth would be in a 100-year storm. I could find that out, but it's not really a pond per se 24/7. It's a holding area, retention pond, detention pond. I'm not sure the term they actually use, but it's not going to be a pond where ducks and fish and whatever would be in, no.
Okay.
Can you just follow up with us on that? 'Cause
Sure.
obviously, whether we keep on talking about these 100-year storms in Strongsville that seem to happen once a year. So it probably behooves us to figure out what the worst-case scenario is and whether we have a safety concern.
Yes, I will definitely check into that, see if the fence is anywhere near required. And that, actually, for that site, that location on what is now Center Middle School, that is the lower end of the lot, so that does need to be checked into. I will check on that.
And I'll just make a quick comment that, we're at that point with both the middle school and the high school that it's just plain exciting to see it come together. The middle school is going to be tremendous. The high school is tremendous, and when it's all done, it will be tremendous. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda tonight, we have a resolution from the Ohio Schools Facilities Commission, expedited local partnership construction document phase review comments. This is a standard resolution. The Ohio Schools Facilities Commission wants the board to acknowledge we are a certain phase in the project. The phase we're talking about tonight are comments at the high school that they've given us on our site plan that's recently been awarded and our furniture bid that's been awarded. I passed out to the board one single sheet for the few comments they issued on the furniture, because there are things that we can get with a furniture package that we are not getting. For instance, there's cabinets and casework that would be built into the school along the walls. We're not ordering that. It wasn't in part of the budget. This is excess. This is an excess. This is an extra item, a change order we've picked up to get classroom desks and chairs, et cetera, but we did not get the casework on the walls. You also see that they asked, why do we not include carts for chairs in the cafeteria? Well, we never built cafeteria storage for chairs or tables. There's no need to buy the carts. We have nowhere to haul the chairs and tables to. If we need to move everything, we move it to one side or the other while we're cleaning. But that was the reason why there was no carts that were purchased, which is part of the OSFC program. The site package had absolutely zero comments. They issued a 59-page document to tell you all that. I didn't think you needed to see it. I just want to let you know there are no comments, nothing truly to review on the site package. Beyond that, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Strongsville Board of Education approves the Ohio School Facilities Commission, OSFC, expedited local partnership program construction document phase review comments for the high school addition and renovation loose furnishings and late site package.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Grozen, second by Colonel Evans. Any discussion? So I'm just going to comment that this is part of our process that ensures that if maybe at some point the state gives us money back, we will get that money back. And if my memory serves correct, it's about 7%. So it's not an insubstantial amount, so we want to make sure to dot our i's and make sure we do everything correctly.
Right, yes, thank you. If we get the 7% on qualifying expenses of roughly $60 million, we could be looking at $4.2 million, depending upon what the state actually gives us credit for. But that's a substantial amount of money, you're correct.
Mr. Anagnostou?
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And the final item under business affairs tonight, we have business services tonight, excuse me. We have a gift. Dr. Denise Aboud has donated a bookshelf and table to the Strongsville Board of Education, valued at $225, a coffee maker and books to the Strongsville Early Learning Preschool, valued at $375, and gym equipment to Strongsville High School, valued at $45, for a total donation of $645. Thank you, Mrs. Aboud. If there are any questions, that concludes my report.
Just a quick comment, if I could. I want to say congratulations to you, Mark. The high school furniture was never part of what the original bid was. That's out of savings through the construction and proper management. What you see in the band rooms, the lockers, the ceiling tile, the grids, a lot of what you just saw in that was never part of the plan. We were able to achieve those additional items through proper management and savings, so good job, Mark.
It's hard to believe that we're coming up on almost 4 years of being in the construction process, and it's been a tremendous amount of work, but it's going to be well worth it for our students. So it's exciting to see it all to come together. At this time, Erin Green is going to come up as Director of Curriculum to share her report for this month. Erin?
Hi, good evening. We have 5 items tonight under curriculum for your consideration. First item, we are incredibly excited to recommend the social studies secondary adoption, finally. And on behalf of Brian Tamino and myself, we're excited, like I said, that we have this ready to recommend. We also have secondary music textbooks, and that would be for a music appreciation course and a music theory course. And we have 3 out-of-state trips. First one, number 3, we have the high school girls soccer team traveling to San Francisco in September. Item 4, we have the boys varsity and junior varsity soccer traveling to Fort Wayne, Indiana for a soccer competition September 3rd and 4th. And lastly, we have the Strongsville High School marching band and orchestras traveling to Orlando, Florida to perform at Walt Disney World theme parks, and this will be March 24th through the 29th of 2017. All 3 of those trips are at no cost to the district, as they're self-funded by those organizations or groups. Are there any questions?
Ms. Green, I just
Yes.
wanted to compliment you and comment on the textbooks. You know, so much of it is social studies, it's history, but all the copyrights are going to get updated. We won't be teaching from old textbooks anymore. And the other thing that I really thought was exciting to comment on was how much of it is not just the book, but the different resources, whether it's a software package, whether it's a DVD, whether it's all of those resources that help make these subjects come alive and are that much easier for our teachers to teach with and get the students excited. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Next, we have Andy Trujillo, Director of Special Education, with his report.
Thank you, Mr. Ryba. Good evening, members of the board. Tonight I have one agenda item for you, and that is for you to consider the settlement resolution seen in Exhibit K. Any questions for me?
So settlement resolution out of the general fund as described in Exhibit K. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ludwig, second by Colonel Evans. Any discussion? I will comment for the public that this is probably, if you're looking at it from the public, one of the more head-scratching or aggravating things. There's very little language in the agenda, and there's even less language in the exhibit. What I will say is this is, these situations, we are obligated to keep them private and confidential. Oftentimes, you'll hear us talk about that when we go into executive session. This is a similar situation. What I will say is that the board and the administration, as a team, consider these things thoroughly, and we make the best decisions possible. If there are no other comments, Mr. Anagnostou.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, Andy. Next is Jenny Pelko, Assistant Superintendent with the Human Resource Report.
Thank you, Mr. Ryba. Good evening, everybody. Under Human Resources, I have the following items for your consideration. Under E1, we have resignation of one of our assistant track coaches. We also have the resignation of one of our monitors. Under number 2, we have the following non-certificated retirements, which will be effective June 30th, and we'll recognize many of these employees at our board meeting in May. Under number 3, due to the closure of Center Middle School, Drake Elementary, Albion Middle School, we do have several reductions in force for certificated staff, which will be effective May 20th, and they will be on the recall list for a period of 36 months. Continued under E3, I have 3 reductions in force for non-certificated staff. We are combining our resources, and our grounds maintenance crew will be reorganized into our maintenance crew. So our grounds crew will be all together in our maintenance crew. Under E4, I have the following non-certificated appointments. Also have certificated tutors, 1 certificated substitute, and several appointments for non-certificated substitutes. Also have the appointment of our Jumpstart coordinator, Mr. Glenn Stocco, and our 2 appointments for our summer school coordinators. Stephen Breckner will be coordinating Plato, which is our online credit recovery courses for the summer, and Justina Peters will be coordinating our elementary. We also will be offering courses for credit in summer school as well. Under E4, I have appointments for our teachers for ESY, intervention specialists there, and I also have our non-certificated employees for our aides for the ESY program, extended school year program. I also have certificated supplemental contracts. We're finishing up our spring sports there, and also for our summer orchestra camp and our summer band camp that we have. And for our fall, we're beginning to put these coaches in place for fall. And under E4 continue there, I have non-certificated supplemental contracts. Again, 1 more spring to finish up, and then again, fall coaches. Under E5, have the following changes in hours for our non-certificated staff. And under E6, we have a change in status for a few of our teachers there. 2 going from a 0.5 FTE to a 1, and then 1 going from a 1 to a 0.5. And continued under E6, non-certificated, 2 employees there going back to their original positions. Under E7, we have the following job shares to be approved for next school year. Under E8, we have a contract recommendation for a non-certificated employee. Under E9, have the following family medical leaves, both certificated and non-certificated. Under E10, we have 3 non-certificated injury leaves. Under E11, I have 3 parental leaves. And finally, under E12, we have our more volunteers to help our students. And that concludes my report, unless you have any questions.
Great job. I know this is a busy time of the year. We look forward to our retirement board meeting next month, where we get to honor everybody for all that they've done in their careers here with Strongsville.
Thank you.
And then finally, under item F for technology, we do not have a report this month, but at the May 9th meeting, Vicki Turner and Steve Breckner will both have presentations to the board about various technology work initiatives that we are recommending for the 16-17 school year, so we look forward to hearing from that. And that concludes the superintendent's report. Mr. Micko, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? Okay, report on Polaris Career Center. I'm proud and happy to report that the information and office technology students went to the state competition, and 9 of our Polaris students qualified for the national competition. And I get to give shout outs to John McCurdy, who's a senior in Strongsville, who got first place for advanced spreadsheet applications, and Tyler Tietze, also a senior in Strongsville, who got second place in banking and finance. And we look forward to them representing us well at the national competition. In addition, Polaris recently inducted 53 students into their National Technical Honor Society. To do that, you need to earn all A's in your Polaris program. You need to maintain a 95% or higher attendance rate, and you need to maintain an overall 3.0 cumulative grade point average. And we had a number of students from Strongsville inducted there, so we congratulate them all, and we're very proud of them. As far as announcements are concerned, on April 28th from Thursday, April 28th from 6 to 7:30 p.m., they're going to have their 9th grade Advantage event. It's an opportunity for 9th graders and their families to visit Polaris, to see the different programs, and to get a lot of free stuff while you're there. And that concludes my Polaris report. Report on legislation. I just have 2 that I wanted to highlight. The Ohio House recently passed 2 bills and sent them to the Senate for consideration. One is House Bill 113. This bill would require instruction in CPR and use of an automated external defibrillator to graduate high school. So we'll pay attention to that. If it passes in the Senate, we'll have to adjust our course curriculum. And the other one I wanted to highlight for the community is House Bill 425. Which passed out of the House. It regards student religious expression, which everyone has an opinion on. It proposes to allow boards of education to determine whether within the local school district you can have a moment of silence as part of every day. So if this concerns you, I suggest you research House Bill 425 and let your legislators know your opinion. And that concludes my report on legislation. Board liaison reports. Mrs. Ludwig, do you want to begin?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Micko. City Council, this evening at 7 o'clock, they were having a public meeting to discuss the slip ramp that they're proposing. I don't know if everybody is aware of that, but they're trying to alleviate the congestion on the exit of 71 and 82, and they were considering putting in an additional off-ramp only that would connect up with Shermer Road and Howe. So if you're interested in knowing more about this, contact your city councilman on that. It's probably still going on, I imagine, that meeting. And there also is going to be a public meeting on May 2nd regarding a zoning change, which concerns a plot on Temple and Pearl, which is just kind of behind the Strongsville Dry Cleaners, across from McDonald's there. That's the part of Strongsville we're talking about. So if you're interested in having your voice heard about that rezoning possibility, attend that meeting. And then lastly, they had their recycling flyers should have been received by all the residents, a little postcard that tells all about hazardous chemical roundup, expired medication roundup, so check your mailboxes for that. And that concludes the city council report. Do you want me just to go on into?
Please continue.
Okay, sorry. PTA Council. All right. PTA Council will be offering refreshments at the school open houses this Saturday from 12 to 3. So come and say farewell to your schools and enjoy some PTA hospitality. Sounds like a lot of people are interested in that, so I hope they have a lot of food prepared. Also, I'd like to congratulate Nancy Surak, the secretary at Moraski Elementary. She received the Helping Hands Award from the district. And Mark Smithberger, our principal at the high school, received the Outstanding Educator Award from our PTA. So congratulations. And After Prom is still in need of chaperones. Again, that is May 6th. If you want to have a fun Viva Las Vegas night, contact Robin Micco at the high school PTA, and she'll put you in touch with how you can volunteer for that opportunity.
Colonel Evans, do you have any updates?
Nope, no updates on the SEF or on the Finance Committee.
Very succinct. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rosen?
I was unable to attend the facilities meeting. If you or Duke would
Oh.
like to.
Duke and I attended the Board Facilities Development Committee yesterday. Carl was out of town, and George had a prior commitment, so we were able to attend in their stead. We discussed the Drake property along with the building, and I think what was very useful is we reviewed the inventory of all of our buildings in the district, which we've never had a concise in one place inventory of all of our buildings, all of our properties, the size of their the land around them, et cetera. So it goes under the heading of making sure we have that 30-year plan. And before you can create a 30-year plan, you better know where you are. So I thought that was very useful, and they will continue to meet and continue to do good work. Duke, did you have any comments?
No, I think you summarized it.
Thank you.
Excuse me. You didn't let me give my student achievement.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry.
That's like the best report of the night.
Well, I'm going to save it for last.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
I would suggest we have nothing for the policy committee. Cameron, when are we going to have a meeting?
We met with the consultant this week, so usually takes me a couple weeks to get everything together, so early May,
I know I'm very excited.
as am I.
I'm
Mr.
sure if you would rather, Mark could probably get some sawdust from the construction site.
George, do you have any, or Colonel Evans, do we have an upcoming finance committee meeting or not?
Nope.
Not at this time. Okay.
No, George has got a handle on the shekels.
And so saving the best for last,
There you
Mrs.
go.
Ludwig.
All right, thank you. This month I want to highlight our Chapman School. So as a special education aide who works with students with moderate to intensive disabilities, Diane Fulkerson keeps in mind that what works with one child may not work for every child. So at Chapman, they work as a team to adapt their approach and instructional strategies to meet the needs of each child. One of the successful programs for students with autism and other disabilities is Applied Behavior Analysis, or ABA, because they like their acronyms. ABA is an evidence-based methodology that benefits the child by learning new skills and behaviors. And part of ABA is instructing students in new skills by breaking down the skills into manageable steps that are easier for students to learn. And this instruction can occur one-on-one setting or in a group setting based on the skills that are being taught and the individual needs of the students. So students are provided multiple opportunities to practice and perfect each step of the skill being taught while using positive reinforcement. And a large part of this is figuring out what's going to motivate each child. And this may be playing with a favorite toy or bouncing a ball. And when a correct behavior is followed by a positive reinforcement, the skill is more likely to be repeated. So the goals are targeted for each child to meet their individual needs, and skills are taught towards their goals. ABA is an intervention that provides a way to systematically and consistently teach our students academic, communication, and play skills that are needed to help them reach their fullest potential. So thank you to Diane Fulkerson for being instrumental in our students' success. And that concludes it.
Thank you, Mrs. Ludwig. Any other reports? Which brings us to the consent calendar. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of consent calendar at this point of the agenda means that all items appearing in this agenda with asterisks are adopted by one single motion. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Motion by Colonel Evans, second by Mr. Grozen. Mr. Anagnostou.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Board of Education other. Do we have any others? No. I have two quick others. One, under student achievement and growth, one of our strategies is community engagement. And I wanted to compliment Dan Faust on sending out a Friday to-do list. And the Friday to-do list tells us to wake up, take a shower, which will really mess up my weekly schedule, get dressed, and here's the important part, don't forget your green and white, eat breakfast, brush your teeth, and make it a great Mustang day. So in the interest of community engagement, I suggest not just the teachers and the administration and the students do this, but everyone in Strongsville do this. And then on a note that makes me very proud, every year Baldwin Wallace University has an Outstanding Educator Award. And in 2016, I'm excited to let the community know that our own Brian Tumino was selected and honored as an outstanding educator for Baldwin Wallace. And besides the fact that he graduated from Baldwin Wallace, which is a requirement to receive the award, he has done a great job here in Strongsville. One of his colleagues who nominated him wrote that in Mr. Tumino's classes, students become so well-versed in the information taught that they can argue, debate, and converse intelligently about the topic. They can form their own opinions based on what they have learned instead of what the popular culture at large is telling them. He continued, he watched Brian transform our social studies curriculum and move the department into a collaborative team. These efforts have included improved test scores, increased AP course offers, increased numbers of students taking AP and honors courses, and the reworking of many existing courses. So I wanted to let the community know about this honor for Mr. Tumino, and if you happen to see Mr. Tumino, make sure to congratulate him.
Congratulations.
And I have no other meeting notifications. A special Board of Education meeting executive session will be held Wednesday, April 27th at 6:30 p.m. in the meeting room of the Administration Building, along with a regular Board of Education meeting will be held Thursday, May 19th in the Event Center of Ernfelt Recreation Center. I also have a meeting notification date change. A regular Board of Education meeting work session will be held Monday, May 9th at 7 p.m. in the meeting room of the Admin Building. This is a change from our regular Thursday, May 5th meeting, and that's to allow the administration and the board to attend our senior salute, which is always a excellent occasion, and we all wanted to attend. We have a reason for executive session for evaluation of personnel, correct?
To consider the employment, dismissal, discipline, and as well as evaluation of a public employee or official.
And I want to add property to that.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ludwig, second by Mr. Evans. Mr. Anagnostou.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Motion passes. Enter executive session 8:55.
8:56.
56.
Give us a chance to say thank you to everyone. Unless there's anything else, we have no business afterwards. Have a great evening. Thank you.